Hi everyone. Today we have Teresa on, and Teresa is going to show us how to use an external flow regulator and how you can save a lot of money. So basically the situation is this: when you do home ozone applications, you have to use an oxygen source, and you can either use an oxygen tank or you can use an oxygen concentrator, right? And with an oxygen tank, you just buy a pediatric regulator, and so that's not a problem. But when you buy an oxygen concentrator, what you will find out is that most concentrators, they're equipped with a regulator which produces pretty high flows. So for example, what Teresa is showing us here, this is the built-in regulator on a Millennium Invacare machine, I believe it is. And that regulator goes from 0 to 5 liters per minute. And this is pretty high because for ozone applications, you need flows between, let's say, 1/16 to at most half a liter per minute. So how does one use an oxygen concentrator, and how does one produce low flows at the same time? So one solution is to buy an external flow regulator, and the one on the market right now, there's like a gray box, and it's pretty expensive. It costs around $300. So this is one option. But today we're going to show another option that costs only $20, or it can even cost less because there are even lesser options.
You can get it for $40 nowadays. I think the one that I have is not available anymore, but you can find something very, very similar for $40, I think.
Okay. Well, I've seen some on eBay for, I believe, $12.
Yes, but those go from 0 to 1.5. So if you want a more precise one that goes from 0 to 1, okay, then it's you can find it for $30 to $40.
Okay, and you said there's a company, simply03.com, which
yes,
shows them?
Yes, Michael Lowe on the group, he sells them, and not exactly this one, but one very similar. This one just comes with two different kinds of readings. It comes with the fractions and also with the decimals. The one that he sells only comes with decimals.
Right. So let's talk about this real quick, because people have sometimes they have problems with the math that comes with ozone. So if you could show this again. So basically, right, so you have here the regulator, and it goes from 0, which you see at the bottom, to 1 liter per minute on the top. And on the right side, you have the flows in fractions. So you have, for example, a quarter, half, 3/4 of liter per minute. And on the left side, you have in decimals. So you have 0.2, 0.4, 0.6, 0.8. So you can regulate, you can set the same flow, and you can express the flow either in fractions or in decimals. So for example, 1/2 liter per minute on the right side would be 0.5 liter per minute on the left side. Okay, and so Teresa, you made some additional lines on that regulator, right, to show where it would go to 1/8 and 1/16.
Yeah, I put markings because it doesn't come with all the markings we use for ozone treatment. So as you can see here, put here 1/8.
Right.
This side I put 1/10. Here is 1/16, and the lower here close to 0 is 1/32.
Oh wow. Okay.
I just put them with a permanent marker. I need to write them again because I'm putting my fingers in and erasing them. But it works, it just needs to pay a little attention. So I guess, if you buy one from the ones that are available nowadays, they come from 0 to 1, and you just have to calculate this other side, or we can just take, a good picture, or you can look at this video and then you can see what's the equivalent on the other side if you don't care to do the math, or if you just woke up with your brain not wanting to cooperate, which happens very often.
Okay, so now this thing right now is not connected, so one cannot see it, but there is a black ball inside, right? And that black ball, right, once this thing is connected to the oxygen flow, will start moving. And so you basically turn on that knob on the top of the regulator, right? And
Right.
according to how you turn the knob, the ball will move up and down, and so that's how you set the flow, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so so now, Teresa, why don't you show us how to connect everything and how to use this little gadget?
Okay. So first of all, what I do, especially with this oxygen concentrator that I have here, we have discussed this in the group, and we had information from people who know their stuff really well, and they said that there are many concentrators that shouldn't ideally be used with a pediatric flow meter because they can only stand certain amount of pressure, and supposedly the maximum limit to use pediatric flow meter is 5.5. I think it's called outer pressure. What is calculated, but this machine has a higher number than that, and the reason why I'm still using it with this pediatric flow meter piece here is because the person I bought it from, it's a person who refurbished these machines, and he also was the one who sold me this piece, and he told me it works well with this machine. So basically I'm just trusting someone who has a business in refurbishing these machines and just hoping that he's right and that's going to work.
Okay.
Okay. So what I do in this machine is first I turn it on.
So, but basically the pressure is, so you need a machine that puts out at least 5.5 psi, right? I believe.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Great. So you turn it on first, and nothing is connected. The oxygen concentrator.
Yes. It's not connected to anything, only plug so it can work.
Okay.
So what I do is I turn the knob to the very max, 5, and I let it run for about 5 minutes just to let it warm up.
Okay.
And I don't know really the logics of it. I just read it somewhere, and also this was what the person who sold me the machine told me, just to kind of like let it warm up a bit.
Okay.
And it has worked well. So far, I had it for 6 months, and it runs well, and I don't have any problems with it. So let's assume that we have this on for 5 minutes at its max. So now what I do is, you can see on the knob, it's on 5 right now. Now we go all the way down to 2 because we are going to connect the pediatric flow meter, and the ideal is you don't want to go higher than 2 in this knob here of the machine itself. Okay. So this little thing, what we do, it's I put some silicone tubing to the top and then some silicone tubing on the bottom. The top is going to connect to the ozone machine, and the bottom is going to connect to the oxygen concentrator. Okay. So first, I'm going to connect it to the oxygen concentrator. So I put the tube here.
Yeah, you just slip it on like that.
And now this, I'm going to connect here. You can see it. Okay. So the moment I connect it, then you can see the little black knob. Now it moves, and if I move this knob here, the little black ball will go up and down depending on how I move the knob.
Right. Okay.
Okay, so next, we're going to connect it to your ozone machine. I don't know if you can see my machine there.
Yes, we can see.
Everything in wheels. Ozone comes with me everywhere around the house. All right. So connected here, and I use a little smaller tubing here just because my little flow meter is thinner here, so I just want to make sure this stays put.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. So this is going to go now to your ozone machine. Whatever in your ozone machine, it says that you have to plug it to oxygen.
Okay.
Okay. So this is the oxygen first that's going to be plugged to your ozone machine. And these little tubes that you see I have here on my machine, these are just thinner silicone tubing in order to make things fit better and make sure I don't get any air leaks or any ozone leaks.
So basically you use that smaller tubing as a type of adapter between between the ozone generator and the bigger silicone tubing, or that external flow meter and the bigger silicone tubing.
Correct. As per your suggestion, and it works really well.
Great.
So here it is.
So
So
okay, so this is
like that.
So that's finished basically. So like this, you can use low flows with your oxygen and ozone equipment, and you can regulate with this external inline regulator, let's call it. Yeah, you can set lower flows. Awesome.
Okay. And there is an important note here that we have been discussing in the group, and then our good friend Joe, he brought it up, that there was a lot of pressure coming out from the oxygen concentrator and to this little device. And I noticed that just one day that I connected the oxygen concentrator to the device, and then the tubing just got off, and there's a lot of pressure in there. Yeah. And our friend Joe, he suggested to poke a hole in the tubing in order to let some air out, so there is not that much pressure, and it's for the health of all machines. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And I tried first with some scissors, and the problem that I found with poking a hole with scissors is that the hole, it was not the same all around. So if I accidentally move the tubing, it would make the hole bigger or smaller, and it would change the flow. So I didn't like that, just because, you're doing all these ozone treatments and you want to keep a constant flow for the treatment that you're doing. Right. Okay. Right. So what I decided to do is to use, I have this little thing that it has very pointy top, and it's thicker than a pin, so it's going to make a bigger hole than a pin, but you can use a pin and just kind of like move it around to make a bigger hole. But this is going to make a hole that it's going to be round, so it's going to be the same size all around. Right. Okay. Right. So this was done on the tube that goes to the oxygen concentrator, because that's where the pressure comes from. Right. Right. Okay. So I put the hole somewhere in here with this little thing, and I can feel the air coming out of it,
and so that's all.
If these move, the flow doesn't change here, which was happening with the bigger hole that I made with the scissors. Okay, so that's why I recommend to make a hole with something like this.
Okay, so with that simple trick, you protect the machine because there's no pressure built up that could damage the oxygen concentrator, and you maintain a constant flow.
Well, yeah, this is all, of course, in theory. I mean, we're kind of testing things here and trying to figure out ways so we can, save some money here and there, because healing is expensive. But this is working so far. And I like it. One other thing that I have added to this whole homemade flow meter technique is putting a little box to this, or putting some kind of support, just because, this is hanging here, and if this moves up and down, then the flow is going to change too. Or the little thing is going to move. And I just also just want to give it some stability and, I don't know, professional look if you like. I don't know how
Sure,
professional.
yeah, show us your technique.
Okay, so I have used different things. The first time I did it with the boxes from some vitamins, and I poked some holes in the front, and I put the flow meter in there, and then poked some holes in the back, and put the tubing in the back, and it was standing like that. But then I wanted to give it an angle, like the machine that you can buy, because that one is kind of like more in an angle. It's not straight. So what I did is I have this old box from an iPhone 4 that's just sitting in my office, and I poked some holes here in the front, then one hole on the side, so the tubing that goes to the top will come out this way. And I put my little note here because sometimes, I'm tired, I forget, whatever. It says plug to 03 machine. Okay, and then I put a hole here on this other side for the tube that comes from the bottom to exit this side. And also put my little note, plug to O2 concentrator. Okay,
perfect.
So it's a good way, to remember. You never know how you're going to feel until you do your ozone treatments and feel fantastic. Let me just disconnect here, and I'm going to show you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have these my tubes. I'm going to take the tubes off and just put the thing, and then I'll put the tubes back. That's going to be easier.
So can you do this also with a box from an Android phone, or does it only work with?
Whatever you think. I'm
perfect. Perfect. Okay. So that sticks on the outside of the box like that.
Yes. And I did little notepad and put it here, so it kind of like makes it sit in that angle.
I see. So you're basically...
it's just whatever works for you. These are just ideas, and you'll all figure out what works for you. So again, I put the little tube here.
Yeah.
Top,
you connect
it. And now it's going to exit through this hole.
Right.
And now, of course, it is connected. Okay, and tube this way, connected this way.
So that's the one that goes from the oxygen concentrator. So that one always goes to the bottom of that regulator.
Yeah, so I put just my little notes so I remember, but it's just a good thing to do. It's because, we all can make mistakes and try to avoid them as much as we can. Okay, so I put my little notepad there, here. So now it keeps it in that sort of an angle.
I see. Okay, so you basically kind of reconstructed that regulator that costs $300. That's also sits a little bit at an angle like that, right?
Well, it was like trying to copycat that pose. I cannot say that this is 100% a replacement for that, because I have never had that machine. I don't know how it works. I don't know what kind of bulbs and things it has to make it better or special to protect it. So I really don't know. I'm just based on the research that I have done and all the wonderful people in our group just come up with these ideas, just taking from ideas from all the friends in the groups, because we have amazing people there sharing all their experiences. So this is that has come up out of all that, and so far it works.
So it was a joint venture kind of project.